Selvakumar sir.
Ma'am, start. You can start, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Ma'am, okay, ma'am.
Good afternoon to all present here. I welcome you all to the last session of the AICT Atal Academy sponsored 1 week faculty development program on artificial intelligence, machine learning and genomics. I take immense pleasure in introducing the resource person of this session, Dr. B. Surendran sir, who is going to handle this session on AI and ML for healthcare and research tools. He is working as Associate Dean Academics at National Institute of Technology, Puducherry, Karaikal. He has completed his UG in BEIT at Sona College of Technology, Salem, then completed MTech in Computer Science at VIT University. He completed a doctorate in the field of medical image processing at NIT Trichy. His areas of interest are image and video processing, medical imaging, data mining, dimensionality reduction. He has more than 15 years of experience and has published more than 30 papers in various journals. He has also reviewed more than 250 research papers for various journals and conferences. He had delivered 18 guest lectures during this lockdown period. He has received the Best Reviewer Award in the year 2019. The session to Dr. Surendran sir. Sir, this is yours.
Yeah, thank you, madam. I think some participants, Deepali Joshi, then kept the mic on.
Dear participants, kindly request you to mute your audio.
Is my slide visible, madam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, good afternoon to one and all joined for this seminar, UDP seminar. And this is Surendran. I'm working as Associate Dean Academic and Assistant Professor at Department of CSE, NID Puducherry, Karaikal. And today's session, I'll be talking about two topics. One is application of AI and ML for healthcare. Another one is the tools for research. So I'll be showing some hands-on session also on tools for research and some of the interesting tools. So this is first session. So it's about the application of AI and ML for healthcare. So why I taken this healthcare for today's session topic is the healthcare is a booming one and a lot of research work can be done on healthcare. So the contents about this topic is the applications for healthcare and what are the research topics and deep learning and drug discovery and some of the standards like DICOM standard and blockchains for healthcare is another booming area. And there are some games developed for handling mental health and all those things. So some of the mobile application apps are there. I'm talking about all those topics. And finally, some data sets, links about some data sets for healthcare industry. I mean, for leak analysis and all those things I'll be telling in the last slide. So you know about most of the healthcare nowadays. People are working with detection diagnosis, like breast cancer analysis, brain tumor analysis, and all those things using computerized and CAD system, like computer-aided diagnosis. And there they'll be used to diagnose and predict the disease from the X-ray images or MRI or CT scan images. And those areas will be having a lot of applications like not only breast cancer, they have lung cancer, brain tumor, and other cancer detection and analysis. And also it's also done for some other medical diagnosis also, where we have CT scan, MRI, and or X-ray images are there. So nowadays you can apply with the help of computer can automate the detection of the tumor area or any other area which is of your region of interest, and it will help the radiologist or the doctor to analyze in a better way. So a lot of applications are there, and another main area is drug discovery. So here, if you take about the drug discovery, so we are in the COVID-19 pandemic period, and you know that it was started in December and mainly spread from March onwards, March end onwards, and we are yet to receive the vaccine. There are some countries are working with vaccine like Russia, even Oxford University, and even in India they are in the trial phase, is in the clinical trial phase. Why the drug discovery takes more time? So I'll be talking about that. And the personalized medicine and telemedicine, the last question on telemedicine is another area which is booming area where the people are working with a lot of research. And medical imaging, as I already said, working with images and the cancer images or maybe the MRI, CT images and all those things. So they'll do segmentation, classification, clustering of the regions and all those things. And genome analysis is for genomics is for genome analysis, RNA DNA sequence analysis. So all those works people are working nowadays. Even for COVID, there are some data sets are available with RNA DNA sequence. Data sets are available where you can do analysis. And microanalysis is another area current research. A lot of people are working with microanalysis. There is another area where people are working now. And the logistics, which is a part of a healthcare industry, where we need a lot of applications, AI and machine learning applications are there, are required. Some of the applications for logistics is main technology focus for logistics is about the blockchain. Nowadays, people are using a blockchain. Blockchain's main application is not only for cryptocurrency. The another main application of blockchain is supply chain management. So here the logistics comes into picture here. In the healthcare industry, the logistics is also a main part because if you take a pharma industry, they will produce medicines and all those things, the tablets and all those things, the drugs and all the things which need to be delivered to the destinations to the customer through distributor, dealers, and the medical shops. There are chances that fake drugs are getting sold in the market. So to avoid that, nowadays the people are using the blockchain and other methodologies to check the logistics, how it is. I mean, maintaining the information through blockchain and other mechanisms to so that they can track the source to destination and to avoid any delay in the process. And some of the other applications are dermatology. Just a minute. So I'm in college now, so I got a call from here. Okay, so mental health and speech patterns or some of the other applications. So I'll be discussing more in detail about mental health and speech patterns and where it is applied here in healthcare industry. Other areas where people are working with are diabetics, radiology, and cancer research is part of medical imaging. Brain tumor also comes under that. So if we go to the slide. Sorry, wait a minute. Hello? Sorry. Yeah. So image processing tools. Yeah, people will be using nowadays. People are working with Python, and there are other tools mainly used for image processing. Tools, medical imaging is MATLAB and OpenCV. So it's up to the people to you can use any one of these tools. You can also use a MATLAB. MATLAB deep learning in MATLAB is a little bit faster than compared to Python. So if it's not that you have to use only Python, you can use any of these tools for your research. And there are other tools like Ideal, Codas. These are some other tools which is available in the market. And DICOM is one of the standard used by medical imaging industry. So I'll be talking about that in detail in the next few slides. And drug discovery, I said it takes a lot of time. Why it's taking a lot of time is previously the normal process. This is a normal process. So it takes, you can see there are several phases: drug discovery, preclinical, clinical trials, and FDA review, and one drug is getting approved. So for that, they will try with 15,000 compounds, combinations. Then finally, it will comes with a single drug. So you can see the total number of years, it becomes 14 years to 15 years. And so it's a normal process which is done in the previous decade. And nowadays nowadays we are getting the drugs within a year period of time. So how it is done, how it is they are able to reduce the number of years is because of the use of machine learning and supercomputing facilities available. So here in the full drug discovery process here on the left side you can see the standard drug discovery, and the right side is the one of the drug discovery called as NICAR, that is one of the company which is working on the drug discovery process. And here the normal process they'll take only 20,000 different compounds combinations, and here on the right side you can see they are comparing with 30 lakh compounds, and which was taking the normal process discovery and all those things take several months to years. Nowadays, and the use of computers and all those things, it takes in the days and weeks. Okay, so that's why because all the drugs has to be tested with animals, then with the human trials, and human trials has to be done. Then it has to be approved by the FDA. Then only the final drug will be available for the mass market. So that's why it's taking a lot of time. But compared to the previous decade, nowadays it is a little bit faster. And IBM is one of the company which is mainly they have the facility like supercomputing facility for drug discovery process, and they are one of the market leader in drug discovery also. As I said about the formats and standards in medical imaging, I said about the DICOM standard. So here there are other standards are used in the industry. So you can see here there are Analyze, ANI, ANA, LYS. Analyze is another standard, NAFTA is another standard, and these are some of the other standards like PAR, REC. These are different standards used in the industry. And most used standards are the top three, that is DICOM, Analyze, and NIFTY, NIFTA. So these are the standards used in medical field. So why these standards are came up as when you say when you use an image, okay, medical image, any scanned image or any images, you can see that the images that we have to store some details about not only the image, you have to store the patient details or the doctor's prescription or radiologist suggestion and all those things. So so all those information has to be stored in a secure manner. So because patient details should not be revealed to others, and only authentic person should be able to view these informations. So that's why they have a different these standards. These standards are used in medical industry when the transfer the information from maybe the clinic or the scan center to the hospital, or even from the inside the hospital, they have a scan centers and they be sending this in the specific formats. So it will not only have the images, they have additional other informations about the patient and all those things. So that is about the standards used in medical image standards. And we know about smartwatches. So it has nowadays is getting a boom, and a lot of people are being found that the Apple smartwatch is one of the famous one which have a lot of news in the last year, because it saved several persons when they fallen from a hill and all those things. it detected the sudden fall and it is generated an emergency SOS to their family persons and they saved their lives. So not only this facilities are available. The future is about healthcare is incorporating a lot of technologies into the smartwatches. A lot of companies like Samsung and so many other companies are working on it. Not only Samsung, even Philips and all those things. They are working with how to incorporate more detections into the smartwatches. And nowadays, not only the for the health monitoring and other things like your fitness and all those things. There are other technologies going to come up with the smartwatches that is going to be next few years. It is going to be the trend. So it's not only fall detection, biometric. They're going to cover biometric and nervous, heart rate, and other some other information they're going to incorporate and sleep tracking and AI and IoT based. So AI based here is they will detect the normal pattern and unusual patterns, and based on that, they apply using AI machine learning techniques. They will try to analyze your data, your past data, and all those things. They will give you some suggestions, or will create some alert and all those things. So that is what the future is going to be on using smartwatches. So most of the health directions we come up with in smartwatches. And the next topic I want to talk about is the blockchain. So blockchain is for most is used in each and every field in healthcare industry, from starting to end. Nowadays, people are using blockchains nowadays, and it has a lot of functionality in all these areas. So you know about the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I mean, for cryptocurrency, blockchains are used, and other main application is the supply chain management. Here also supply chain management will comes here as the day I said about the manufacturing of the pharma industry, the tablets and all those things, drugs and all those things. They want to track from source to the destination or to the customer, so that to avoid the fake drugs. And digital identity management is nowadays you'll be visiting several hospitals and your information has to be stored securely, so that you can share the information from one hospital and another hospital. Nowadays, the hospitals are not giving any the hard copy of your X-rays and all those things, or the scan images and all those things. Nowadays, they're going with the digital formats. So this can be shared with other hospitals in a secure manner and all those things. Or they're employing a blockchain here, and financials and insurance and records. If you, here, why they use a blockchain here is, see, when the patient applying for any claim, so that they should not apply for multiple agencies and all those things, and to detect the fake records and all those things. Nowadays, the financial companies are employing blockchains in the healthcare industry, and clinical research and other places also nowadays that people are using the blockchain. This is this is current core research area which is happening in the healthcare industry. So if anybody wants to work on, you can think about working on these areas. And this is one of the example where how the blockchain helps implemented the digital identity management. The first one, digital identity management, how the blockchain is used. This is an example here. So let us say we have the first patient with a blockchain address. He goes to a hospital, say XYZ for treatment, and there is a report generated on after he discharged. There will be a summary of report and all those things, what are the medicines he has taken and what are the prescriptions and everything. So report and everything will be assigned to the report will be published with, along with the blockchain address of the patient blockchain address. And later, let us say the fourth one. So the patient goes to a new hospital, another hospital ABC for some other disease treatment. So they want that hospital wants to know what is the previous XYZ hospital has done the treatment, what are the medicines they have prescribed. Based on that, they can know the patient's past history, so that the information should not leak out outside. Only the how the information will be shared here is the ABC will request the patient details, and the patient has to approve that details to be transferred to and to be viewed by the hospital, new hospital ABC, and that's way the ABC can access the data, patient data, and they can provide you the prescriptions and all those things. So this is how a blockchain is used in healthcare industry, some of applications. And reinforcement learning is another area where its application is there in healthcare industry. It is for like developing some games or some actions based to overcome some difficulty, I mean deficiency and all those things. So reinforcement learning is called as it's like a robot or a machine. If you play at the Pac-Man game or any shooting games or any games, the computer opponent will try to attack you. So in this case, the opponent computer has to take a right step so that it is not defeated. It has to defeat you. Okay. So in that case, how the system learns is based on reinforcement learning. That is called as learn from mistakes. So each and every step, the robot or agent or the computer opponent takes a step. Each step has an important penalty, and that is the main concept of reinforcement learning. And the current trend is deep learning along with reinforcement learning. So that is called as deep reinforcement learning, or also called as Q learning. This is the current trend which is going on in this area. And where the deep learning is applied here is one of the games for mental health. So it is called as a personal gen. So it is for mental disorders and all those things. People with negative mentality and all those things. People who have negative views. They'll be so much stressed and all those things. So those people, they develop a game called as personal gen. This is one of the game. So it has two phases. That is an angry phase and happy phase. So here you can see the game is to make sure the patient or the player who is playing the game has to follow the happy phase, and they should not follow the angry phase. It is a proven research that after playing these games, the people are came out from the stress because they are trying to take only the positive actions of the positive side of their life, and they are not taking the negative portions in a more way. Okay, so it's helped to come out of the stress and all those things. It's a proven research. So this is one of the main game which is available in the Play Store. I mean, it's a research what was done on this. Okay. And this is about a personal gen. Okay, and another thing is deep learning. Deep learning is nowadays used in each and every field. So deep learning also application in healthcare. Just a minute. Okay. So see some of the deep learning applications in healthcare industries, medical imaging, or we have medical images. The people can apply deep learning because deep learning are applications for image and speech patterns or those things. And it also found applications in genome analysis, consumer disease, and insurance fraud identification. All those. These are some of the places where deep learning is applied in the healthcare industry. And Alzheimer's disease is one of the major research area which is going on, which is about memory loss and how to detect these things and how to treat these diseases. One of the major research area. Here nowadays people are using deep learning to identify the disease from the images, scan images, MRI or CT scan images. And another one of the main app is similar to Personal Gen. It is Relief Link. So Relief Link it's for iOS platform. It's not an Android platform. It is one of the most downloaded app related to healthcare industry in case of iOS platform. So here it tracks the person's behavior, whether he is happy or he is angry and all those things, and It will try to predict the current situation and avoid any suicide or any mental disorders. It will try to recover there, and sometimes it will also make an emergency call to any other hospital or any other SOS alerts and all those things. It is trying to predict, and you can see they have some graphs and all those things to predict the mood trends and all those things. It will also give a suggestion that people is having a more tense and all those things. So this app will give them some relief measures and how to overcome that stress and all those things. One of the app is available in iOS platform. And these are some of the companies which is working on several areas in the healthcare industry, from image diagnostics to drug discovery to fitness, genomes analysis, predictive analysis, hospital decision support, and all those things. And another game, okay, you know about Mario game, correct? A similar variation of that Mario game is a Happy Bird game. So it is one of the proven research article is there how the Happy Bird game is able to de-stress, and people will be playing with a lot of other games also there. And this is one of the proven research. They found that these type of games are able to reduce the stress and give the better results. So you can read the paper. Some research papers are published based on this game. Okay. And there are other applications like bioinformatics. Already I said about genome analysis and all those things. Another research area where people are working nowadays on electronic medical record, because previously we used to have physical records. Nowadays, most of the hospitals going with digital record or electronic medical record. So, what is the problem mainly faced here is we can't expect the doctor to take notes and type on each and everything. So there should be a system should be able to recognize the doctor's speech to text, that's converted from speech to text, and it also has to identify the medical terms and all those things. And the transcription, the report has to be generated mostly automatically. So there are a lot of works are going on this research area, and templates because different medical area, different sections will have different formats. So this is where another research area which is going on in the healthcare field. And there are some companies which is working with virtual assistant. It is for after the patient discharges from the hospital, so they to monitor their health and all those things. Nowadays, the hospitals are working with some virtual assistants to monitor their health status. So, virtual assistant is getting famous nowadays. And this is about the industries, AI-based industries working from pharma industry. So we have the pharma. If you can see the top, the figure in the top of this one, you can see the pharma industry, and we have tech industry. There is an AI set of companies which is working only on AI, which they support the pharma industry. So they provide not only the cloud storage technology and all those things, they provide the technical industry. And the AI industries are mainly the work with drug discovery and all these hospital management systems and so many other applications they are working with. And if you know about the recent processor, we know about CPU and GPU. There is another set of processor coming up, is called as NPU or neural processing unit or network processing unit. So which has some more functionality compared to the GPU, because it supports some neural network and image processing algorithms are supported in this, and these processors will work better compared to the GPU. And I think that image is not here. Okay. So if you render an image, any image in the CPU, it will render only 10 to 20%. GPU may render 50%, but NPU will render 100% of the image in a very period of time. So this is a new process which is going to come up nowadays. Wait a minute. Hello. இல்ல நான் ஒரு கெஸ்டர்ஸ்ல இருக்கேன், ஒரு 6 மணி நேரம் கழிச்சு அனுப்பிச்சிடுறேன். Yeah. So these are some of the data sets. When we work with the healthcare medical imaging, so we need to use some of the data sets. So here, these are some of the websites where you can download the data sets for free, and some they ask for you have to create a login and you can download the data sets. And this is Open MRI, fMRI is one of the Open Neuro, and these are the new websites. There they not only MRI, they provide a lot of other medical data sets are available in these websites. Okay, so these are some of the websites. Even governments also providing some of the details for public use. So you can work with this medical imaging area. If you want, you can work with this. And another point I'd like to share here is the CVB ratio. So it is nothing but people will be evaluating using usually for evaluation measures, we'll be using accuracy or precision recall and F-score measures if you use the classification. And there are other measures which you can think about is CVP ratio, which people are not aware much about these things. What is the number? What is mean by CVP ratio? That is cases to variable ratio. Cases are also called as instances, and variable is also called as a features. And let us take this example here. We have 10 cases for data set, and which has 2 features and a class variable. Okay, the class is either 0 or 1, that is a normal or a cancer, that you can take it. So we have 2 features and 10 cases. That means the CVP ratio is 10 by 2, that is 5. So this is one of the new evaluation method that we use during my research work, and it's found to be very effective. And you can use it on any numerical data sets are available where you can use this CVP ratio. So it will be found to be very effective for comparing with the existing results. So this is one of the ratio which we compared with my proposed work during my research in NIT Trichy. I have done work on analysis, that is breast cancer. You can see the literature. I have used DDT data set, and here you extracted some new features which is not there in the literature. Some 8 new features and some of the existing features also we used, and we used only 17 features for classification, and we got a good accuracy for 300 images. As you can see, the proposed work we analyzed for 300 medical images, and we used only 17 features, and you can see the literature. They also use there are some odd images, but the number of features they extracted is 200, 300, 400 features, which will overfit the classifier. It may not be effective one. So how we can justify this one is based on this VP ratio. So what is the ratio should be minimum ratio? That is, it should be minimum 4.16. If it is greater than 4.16, the CVP ratio is greater than 4.16. It means that this CVP ratio is a better one. If it is less than 4.16, this is not a good ratio. Okay, so this is also one of the metrics you can think about using your research. And that's all about my first session. If you have any doubt, let me know. Otherwise, we can proceed with next one, tools for research.
Participants, any queries?
Okay, then we can proceed. 2 minutes. I will come back. Can we continue with the next presentation? 2 minutes. I need a mail I have to send. Two minutes. I'll come back. one more minute, be in line. I'll be back to. Okay, I'm back here. So now let us continue with tools for research. Yeah. So we'll be using some of the tools. So there are some tools which we are not aware of much about some of the tools. So like I like to share some of those tools which will be helpful for not only for research. Some of them will be useful for your day-to-day work also along systems or laptops and all those things. And so here people are using with MS Word, LaTeX and all those things for preparing their papers. And nowadays people are starting moving into using documentation tools or reference managers. So some of the examples about reference managers are the desktop and Zotara, Scaminer and EndNote. These are some of the tools which is available, and all those things are free to use, and which is easy to use is Mendeley Desktop. And if time is there, I will show you demonstration using Mendeley Desktop. Otherwise, you can also learn it from YouTube, which is very easy to use. And what is these reference managers or documenting tools will support? Okay. Okay, let me go to this Mendeley Desktop features. So here, when we do a research, we need to take a notes or highlight some important points in the paper. And when we write a paper, the main problem we face is with the references. Okay, because we'll be writing in a IEEE format or LCO format, but we'll be submitting to your some other journal or which is in a different format. Then we have to change the citations as well as the references, and everything have to be changed. So that takes more time, correct? So sometimes we may miss out some of the important references, or we will be wrongly cite the references and all those things. These are some of the problems we face with Mendeley Desktop. And here these tools, Mendeley Desktop, Zotero, and all those things, and they provide you functionality like you can add not only your research paper with these tools, you can also add all the literature review papers and everything to this tools, and they provide you automatic extraction of metadata. That means that, and this is the second point, automatic extraction of metadata. So here it will extract the paper title, author name, abstract, the keywords, and everything will be extracted automatically from the PDF papers. And when we change the citations, okay, what else you want you have written in IEEE format, or if you like to change the citation style and the references into an elsewhere, a single click you can change it from one journal to format to another journal format. And also you can take a highlight the important points and notes and all those things inside the paper, and you can also search for the content inside the paper. Okay, the normal Windows search we have only the search for the file names and all those things, but here it will provide you the full text paper search and all those things. And also it has a filtering capability, smart filtering capability. You can filter based on the author, or you can filter based on the journal and title of the keywords. Based on the keywords, you can search the further papers and all those things. And these things will be stored in a cloud repository, so that you can do research in home as well as in college and all those places, and you can access this Mendeley Desktop anywhere. All the information will be stored in the cloud repository, all of the notes you're taking, everything, so that you don't have to make the notes again and again in different places. So that is the advantage of using Mendeley Desktop. And there is another tools which I'd like to share here is searching files and contents. So what the main problem we face during your research, not only for research, in the office purpose, normally your office purpose or anything, we write a document, we write a lot of letters, we get approval from HODs or anybody, and we'll be writing a lot of letters, correct? So what happens is when even papers, we download the papers from the internet, so we'll be storing it in some folder. Later, when we want to search for this paper, we have to spend a lot of time in searching for the file name and all this. We don't know where we put the file, and we spend most of the time when searching for that file. So in this case, there are some tools like Searchability, Locate32, Looken. These three tools are the similar the tools which provide you faster searching capability. So what these tools does is, which is better than the Windows search. So it have an indexing, fast indexing capability. It index all your hard disk contents, all the drive contents, and within a fraction of seconds, you can search all the files, any files, any document. You can search based on file name or folder name, or all those things. And there is a desktop search is another concept which I used during my research. Because at that time, these search everything and other tools are not only desktop, and these things are not available. We did research in NIT Trichy, but I used a tool called as Copernic Desktop Search. So that is Windows Desktop Search, Google Desktop Search is available, but nowadays it is not supported because it was not famous as like Copernic. So Copernic is one of the market leader in desktop search. So what is the desktop search is? It will create a search engine for your system or laptop. So it will it's like a creating search engine. It will index not only the file names, the file contents, and all the information will be indexed. So not only the Word documents and PDFs, it will index all the text files, HTML, or browsing history, or anything in your system. Not only file names, all the contents inside the file will be indexed. So yeah, I think some past. Now screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, if we continue. Yeah. So the desktop, Copernic desktop search till 3.5 and 3.6, I think it is free to use. The current version is not free to use, but you can use the old version that has full functionalities there, and it will be very useful. And plagiarism checker tools, Terminator and Viper are commercial, but still you can check for some of the tools which is available on internet, which have some but little limited functionality, like number of pages and all those things. But still you can like the online plagiarism checker tools are available, except the Viper and Terminator remaining are free to check. But you have to paste like 3 pages contents into your text box they provide, and you have to check manually. But still, if you don't have access to Terminator or Viper and all those things, you can try with these plagiarism checker tools. So I already discussed about image browsing tools. Yeah, when we do research, whether we are from computer science or we are mechanical or busy or any background, any department, so we need some data mining or any of the tools should be needed. Not only data mining or any tools is required for your doing your research. During my research, I written a program in Java and MATLAB, and I used Beaker, SPSS, Clementine, and PSW Modeler. These are the tools I used during my research. So among these data mining tools, SPSS is commercial, remaining and all free to use. So Vika is easy to use, but you can in Python also nowadays we have libraries are there which I have not mentioned here. So R is one of the top most used in industry. If you take industry, 80%, not 80%, I think 60 to 70% market share is taken by R program. Okay, so R is most famous in industry line. Okay. And when we write a paper, so we need to give importance for flowcharts and diagrams. So what happens is you can see some papers, the presentation mode will be very good, correct? So what they use is they use some specific tools like not the MS Word or Excel they use to draw the diagrams and flowcharts or these things. They use Visio is by Microsoft. It is a professional flowchart diagram tools, and Smarter is another commercial tool which is available. The remaining two are flowchart or eDraw or free to use. There are so many tools are available even online. You can check for flowchart diagram tools online. You will get a lot of tools, a lot of websites are there where you can draw and you can download the diagrams from online. Some of them are free, some are providing trial versions and you can use that. And Smart Draw is very, very famous one. I'd like to share some information about that Smart Draw. So here you can see the top left about radiation therapy. They used a lot of templates. Okay, so they use a rat image, the radiation image, and all those things. It give you a professional view of your proposed methodology and all those things. It's not like a simple flowchart. It gives a more professional view about your work. The Smarter has a lot of templates, not only for general flowchart diagram tools, even for EEE, ECE, mechanical, in for civil engineers, even they can draw the floor plans and everything can be drawn. And it is has a lot of templates for each and every area. So you can try with the trial version. They provide you 1 month trial version that you can use it. And these are some of the charts available with Mantra. And here, these are some of the other samples available or templates available with Smart Draw. You can see the top left world population. So China and India have the more population. So the size of the human image varies based on the population. This is instead of using a normal bar chart, using this ways of drawing the charts will give you a better presentation feeling. On the right side, we have the onion diagram. This also can be used to specify your proposed methodology and all those things. And the bottom left is proposed, the model diagram. Instead of using a flowchart, normal flowchart, you can use this type of flow diagrams to give you a better presentation feeling. And when we work with the data, any work we do, so what is the main problem we face is the presentation. Okay, so we may do a lot of good research, but the presentation may not be the better way. So in this case, you can, if you have input numerical data, so if you're working with some data, you can visualize the patterns, how the histogram, you can draw the histogram, how the data is distributed, or you can draw scatter plots and all those things. Even box plots can be done, box plots. So you can try with different charts and all those things that will give you on input data itself. Okay, you can compare two features, relationship between any two features, not only with the feature with the class variable. You can draw a scatter plot between any two features to understand how the data is distributed among themselves. So that will give you a better picture about your work. Okay, and when we use accuracy measure, it's called as confusion matrix, which is used for calculating the accuracy of the work. So here in this example, I given 12 classes. Normally we'll be having only 2 classes like normal and cancer. It means that there are 2 classes. But here this is a sample I taken from the internet which has 12 classes. It is you can see the diagonal value is the actual accuracy, remaining are all misclassification. So here, instead of writing a simple table, the accuracy and all those confusion matrix, you can draw using a heat map. So this will give you a better presentation about your work. Okay, and I will show you. If time is there, I will show you a demonstration using this heat maps. How to do heat maps using Excel itself. So when the people wants to download the papers, we will face some of the people not have access to IEEE or Elsevier or ACM. So in this case, you can use Google Scholar is the most used website because it will try to get information where it is publicly available in the author's website or in their you post it in some other places, it will try to get you some papers, but sometimes not all papers are available. In that case, in that case, you can use ResearchGate, where you can ask the fellow authors to send a paper. You can request them; they will send you the papers by through ResearchGate. So that is also I've got some papers for my research using ResearchGate. And LibGen is one of the one which is not a legal one, where you get all the research papers and everything is available for free. So LibGen is there, but it is not legal one. Okay, it is by it is hosted, I think, it's hosted in Russia. Uh, and being a researcher, if you're new to research or existing researcher, try to promote your work or your research work or anything, and your research paper should be reachable to many people. Then you should have a profile with all these places. So in this all these websites, you should have your profile. Okay, so that is very much required. Okay, nowadays, because even for not only for authors, nowadays for the viewers also, they are asking Orchid ID. Or Orchid ID is one of the recently getting more famous nowadays, because they can track your details. I mean, public exit publication, all those things through Orchid. And researcher ID is another one, which now it was combined with Publons. It's by Web of Science, where we have SCA journals and all those things are listed. So that is a Publons is by Quadratic Analytics company, and they also have the researcher ID. But nowadays the researcher ID is merged with Publons.com, and Scopus also you can create a profile, and Google Scholar, all these places you can create each and every these places you should have a profile. Okay. Academia.edu is also like research similar to ResearchGate, and wait a minute. Yeah, Microsoft Academia is also similar to Google Scholar. Okay, so Microsoft Academia is another place which is similar to Google Scholar. So you can create a profile in all these places. And before going to the demonstration, so another 10 minutes, then I'll show you some demonstration. So here, when we write a paper, so I like to share some information based on my as a reviewer. I have done a lot of reviews as a reviewer. Based on my review experience, I like to share some information. So there may be a lot of good reviews or better than me, but I like to share what are the information which I know I like to share here. So when we write a paper, when the reviewer picks a paper, they will try to see the title. Okay, title should be a little bit catchy. Okay, you cannot write a simple title, normal title, which may not attract the reviewer or the editor level itself. Okay, so they will see the title as well as abstract. So try to give consideration more in abstract and title. So abstract should be talk about your what is the research area you have taken and what is the data set you are analyzed, what is the outcome of about your research. Everything has to be clearly mentioned so that when the reviewer sees, they will see the abstract first, then only they will go into the full paper. Yeah. So, and wherever possible, try to represent using a tables, flowcharts, or diagrams, so that you give a better representation about your work. And the data sets, try to use benchmark data sets, because if you don't use benchmark data sets, your research paper maybe gets rejected. Okay, let us say an example like you're working with a face recognition algorithm, or you develop some new algorithm or modify an existing algorithm, you want to compare with the existing algorithm. So in this case, if you use your student spaces and all those things, your paper will be rejected, because the algorithm may work with a particular set of phases or particular set of images, but algorithm may work only for particular set of images. But in the literature algorithms, they would have analyzed with some benchmark data sets. We call it as benchmark or standard data sets. So you have to use those benchmark or standard data sets has to be used for research, so that some of the papers getting rejected is mainly because they're not used the benchmark data sets. So try to use standard benchmark data sets are available on the internet. You see a repository is there, computer vision dataset website is there, where you get all those datasets are available. Okay. And when you write the literature review part, you should be clearly mention what is the existing work, what are the limitations of what the existing work, and if you are using some algorithm, so you try to mention advantage of using that algorithm in your work. So it will be easy for a reviewer to understand the flow of your research work, and it will give a positive impact. And references. Some of the papers getting rejected, or most some of the papers getting for major revision. Sometimes we see that as a reviewer point of view, so they not refer the recent references. Okay, let us say you're working on some let us say cancer detection, brain tumor or something. You refer a paper. The recent paper you referred in your research work is 2015, but now we are in 2020, correct? So you are not referring any papers after 2015. That means that your research work is not related with any recent work. So try to avoid that and try to add at least 30% of your research references should be from the recent past 3 years. And you try to add some more references which is having DOI numbers. That is, document identification number is there for each and every journals and conferences, but not all conferences we have DOI numbers. And try to add more journal references than conference references. Okay, because people try to get some conference papers easily, but that, try to refer some base paper or some other paper on journal, most of journal papers, okay, good journal papers. So that, and when you're submitting a paper for a journal, let us say you're submitting for a journal elsewhere or some other journal, try to refer some papers from the same journal. There is nothing wrong in that. Okay. And the plagiarism. So plagiarism is very important because nowadays, even for some project proposals or any papers, so you should not go beyond 20%. Okay, so you check for plagiarism. Try to rewrite the sentences which is getting repeated and all those things. And 2 more slides, then I'll show you some demonstration. And the keywords are called as connectors or signpost. This is about these points. Okay, I got it from Dushyant Anglin. He came here. He's from Russia and he came here for giving this lecture. So from his presentation, I've taken these points and try to have title should be a little bit fancy. So the second point, and make notes, annotations wherever possible, because it will help you to reading a paper. Try to make notes and annotations wherever possible. It will help you to write your literature review or thesis part later. Yeah, and when you follow an author publications, you feel that the author publications are easy to understand. Then you can follow all their other publications. So you will get some better understanding how they started with some research and how it is currently followed, where they move, how they move into the current situation, and all those things. And another thing is grouping references. Okay, so when we write a paper, literature review part, we try to add a paragraph for each and every reference paper. Okay, so that is not a professional way of writing. So you try to group the references so that it will be better. It will be better presentation. It will give you a professional feeling. Okay, so like here I given like a lot of works on classification 3 to 6. Where the references 3 to 6 talks about the classification. Like that, you have to group them. Several references. Don't write a paragraph for each and every reference. Okay, that is one of the important points I like to share here. And when you write a paper, don't write more than 15% for introduction part. So if you are having a paper for 10 pages, maximum 1.5 page should be given for introduction part, and it's related for conference or general paper has to be followed. And when you writing a paper, try to give your friends or others to check your paper, because you'll be writing in a particular viewpoint. They may give you some suggestion that you can do your paper before submitting to your conference. Okay, and when we write a paper, we feel that some sentences is repeated in the introduction, and on the abstract, also in the proposed methodology, conclusion, some sentences are getting repeated, correct? So how to avoid that is you can use random words if you feel there is some sentences getting repeated, and submit to a reputed journal. Even if it is rejected, you will get some good comments from the authors, reviewers. Okay, not from our, it is from the reviewers. So first it has to go through the editor level. So you should have some mathematical model and all those things is required. You can work with some mathematical faculty to convert your proposed methodology into a mathematical model, and that will give you the initial level of scrutinizing. They will not reject your paper in the editor level. And if you follow these methodology, like it used to be a little bit fancy, and if you have a lot of graphs and charts and better results, you have to compare with at least some existing methods and all those things. If it is you refer to some recent works and all those things, it may pass through the editorial info. So avoid plagiarism. So you can use synonym words or swap or rephrase the sentences. So that's all about the presentation. Next, I will go into the demonstration. Madam, do I have a time? Can I continue?
Yes, sir, you can continue, sir.
Okay, madam. So I'll show some demonstration. Okay. Wait a minute. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Hello.
Okay. So this is an Excel sheet I created for confusion matrix. So here we have 4 cases. Like we have a normal cancer and like that we have usually 2 cases. I take an example for 4 cases, A, B, C, D are the cases, and each cases we have 250 instances or some of the images, let's say, used, and totally there are 1000 samples. In A we have 250, B we have 250, C we have 250, and D we have 250 samples. Now this is a confusion matrix, and here the diagonal values give the actual accuracy. A to A, that is give you 140, B to B is 180. So these are the actual accuracy. The remaining values are the misclassified. These are all the diagonal are the categorically classified one, and the remaining are the misclassified. How to create a heat map here is you select the rectangle. You can go to conditional formatting, the color scales. Okay, so how I'm saying again, so you select the rectangle, go to conditional formatting, and we have color scales. So here we have a lot of options. You can choose which one is good for you. You can choose it. So that will give you the what is it, heat map. Okay, so this is how you can generate a heat map using Excel. It's very simple to use for the confusion matrix. And next I'd like to share about the search everything tool. Okay, so search everything is a tool which is available for free, and it takes maximum 3 MB only. So I'm opening this tool. You can see it does. I open this tool, it's updated in the database. You can see it is displaying all the files in my system. I have C, D, E drive, a lot of files are there. You can see the bottom 4,41,000 files are there in this my drive. It is displaying all the files. So let me search for some details like memo GAN. So I have some folder files, PDF documents, HTML files, everything on the Nomogram. So if you want to see only PDF, so I'm searching for. Wait a minute. Hello. Sir, நான் ஒரு நிமிஷம் கால் பண்றேன் சார். டெஸ்ட் செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்கேன். Yeah. So you can search for file names, folder names. It will display all the files. If you want to search for a particular extension, also you can search for it. So this is not only for research. You can also use it for normal purpose, where you have a lot of documents are there. So you can enter .doc. You will not you will misplace some of the documents, so you can search for .doc and like that. You can specify the file names and all those things. Let me show you some tools for research. So here it has, I'm searching for tools for research, not fully typed. So it shows some folders and a lot of PPTs and PDF and all those things. So here you can go to the search option. You can see everything option is there. And also if you have a document, folder and all those things. If you click on folder, it will show only the folder. If you click on document, it will list all the files, documents and all those things, PPT and all those things. In the search option, if you click on everything, you will get all the folders and file names. So not only for research, it will be very useful for your normal office purpose and all those things. So it's a free to use. Okay. So that's all about this tool. Okay. So I think 40 is there. Madam, shall I continue with the Mendeley desktop or it's fine? Shall we end the session?
So we have 15 more minutes, sir.
Okay, madam. I'll show demonstration using Mendeley desktop. I will show with my existing files which I added on my Mendeley desktop. So let me close these things. Okay. Okay. So let me sign in and my Mendeley desktop account. So if it's a Mendeley desktop tool which is available for free to download, you can download that, and when you install it, first time you can register here using the register option. So right, say in the bottom left you have the register option is there. Using that you can register, and you will get the registration Mendeley website, which you can use it here in this tool. It is loading. That is a starting page. Yeah. So you can close this initial screen. That is some tips it will show the messages. So you can close it. The issue. Okay. Okay, this is the window which is available in the desktop, and here I have added some documents here. You can see there are some documents I added here. How to add documents is you can click add here. Add option is there. Add files, add folder, or you can use file menu, add files and all, add folder, and you can add all the PDF documents from a PDF folder into this screen, all documents window. So here we have, I have some 8 papers on imaging, brain tumor and mammogram analysis. So here, once you added it here, it will show the files here. I try to add some more file. Let me check. Let me add new file possible. So I will put it there. Yeah. So on my paper I added. What I did was remove, and I'll show you again. I'm clicking add file. So you can add any PDF documents and research papers. I'm working on a paper. So you can see that there's a columns B Peter, there's brain tumor, classical genes. This paper is added here. So sometimes the paper, the right side we have the general details, the paper details, extracted metadata information. So let me go. I'll check with some other paper. Okay, let me check on the first paper. You can see the right side, you have the title of the paper, author names, the journal name or conference details, abstract, and we have the keywords. Okay, so these things are extracted automatically. And here I given the tags. You can see there is a tag option is here. Above the author keywords, here the tags I given work 1 and work 2. So that is manually I given this tags using semicolon. It will be empty initially. You can give your own tags for your reference. And another option is here. You can see there is a favorite option. You can see the star option here. So I marked some papers as a favorites. So let me mark some papers as a favorite. You can what the benefit is, if you go to favorite option here, you can see these are all the papers I favorite. I added here to be available in this favorite tab or favorite section. If you go to all documents, all the papers will be available here. And here you can see there is a create folder option is here available. So you can create journal work 2. Okay, and delete this. Or you can create a folder with the conference, some journal work like that. So what will happen is any documents can be moved into these 2 folders. So I created we have 2 folders here, conference and journal work. Let me name it to journal itself. Journal work and conference. There are 2 folders, and in conference I already added some 2 papers. I will show you how to add papers into this folder. So you can drag and drop the papers there. Okay, let me select some papers and drag it to journal work. Okay, I'm dragging these papers into journal work. You can see 3 papers under journal work and 2 papers in conference. So how to see any of the paper which is not added into any of these folders is you can click on unsorted, and here you can see the unsorted paper which is not added into any of the folders. Okay, this is a default functionalities. When you click on the paper, you can see the instructions and all those things. You can add your own tags on the right side. You can see the details about the paper. In the tags option, you can create your own tags. You can do one here. So, what is the benefit of using these tags? Okay, so you can see the bottom left. You can see there is a filter by author keywords. Okay, so these are the keywords used in the paper below the abstract. So if you click on feature extraction, you can see 2 papers are using the feature extraction as a keyword. It is displayed here, and you can also filter by authors, author name, filter by tags. So here I given you 2 tags, correct? This is work 1 and work 2. Some papers I given tag my own tags. Okay, and to select on work 2, you can see there are 2 papers for which I given the tag as work 2. So like this, also you can also filter by publications. So this is another way to filter by publications. So this is filtering functionalities will be very useful when you write a survey paper, literature review or thesis. All those pages you can refer based on the keywords and all those things. Very useful one. And another important point I'd like to share here is to take the notes. Okay. And how to use the citation style in this word. So for taking the notes, you can double click on any paper or right click an open file. Okay, open file externally will open an Acrobat reader or another reader you will be using it. Open file will open into the same media desktop. So let me double click. So in the my library, this is my library, and double clicking on the paper. Okay. So here you can see the paper details. You can take a notes here. So you can take a notes on the top. You have the notes and you have highlight options. So highlight options is you can highlight text. Okay, let me highlight text here. Okay, and if you want to change the color, you can also change the color. And let me highlight again. Okay, and highlight rectangle is an option to select the region of information. Okay, so I selected highlight rectangle option and drawing the rectangle here. It will mark select all the points inside this rectangle. And taking a notes. So let me select some other color. Take a notes. You can click on notes. I like to click on here. Okay, taking the notes. Important block diagram. Okay, so you can see here. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see the notes option here. So click on here. It will show what are the notes I've taken. So click on notes and click anywhere to take the notes. So this way you can, other than highlight option, you can take a notes wherever you want. So all this information will be saved within the desktop and it will be stored in the cloud. For that you can click on sync. So it will sync it to the cloud server. Okay, this is about editing making highlights or notes using the desktop. Next, I'll show you how to use in MS Word, how to convert, different styles, LCO to IEEE or other formats. You can use the tools option. Under the tools option, you can see uninstall MS Word plugin because already the Word plugin is installed. If you're not installed, it will show install MS Word plugin. Okay, so you try to click install MS Word plugin, then MS Word plugin will be installed, then you can use it in MS Word. Okay, let me open MS Word and I will show you some example. Okay, so how to know that Mendeley Desktop is installed? Okay, so for that we'll go to references. You can see the Mendeley Desktop icon is here. Insert citation, it's bibliography. So it's in IEEE format. So let me check. I'll write sentence here. Papers talk about tumors. Okay, and how to add a citation here. Okay, so insert citation. It will open a Mendeley Desktop window. So here I can search based on the title of the paper or author or content. So let me search for brain tumor. Okay, let me select first paper. Again, I'm searching for brain tumor. I'm searching the second paper. Okay, again I'm searching for brain tumor. Searching the third paper. Okay, and clicking OK, it will show the 3 papers. Okay, some papers discuss about classification. Okay, so I insert some papers on classification. Okay, it will serve the same range of classification and the insert citation classification. Yeah. So now we finished with the literature review part. Our references. Okay. So references part we have to write. So how to insert the references? We refer 5 papers here. How to insert them is click on insert bibliography. So I'm clicking on here insert bibliography option. So it will insert the 5 citations. Okay, you can see it automatically inserted all the 5 citations. Now, how to change the format? Okay, zoom in. Okay, so we have 5 references. It is displayed in IEEE format. This style is IEEE. If we change the style to some other format, American Psychology Association. okay, or elsewhere or some other format. I changed from IEEE to American Psychology Association. You can see it is author name comma here. Now Collins is coming as the first and Ramanujan is the second, but in case of IEEE and Shardi et al. Will not come into first because in the alphabetical order. Okay, Raman is third, but here IEEE it will be a different order because the first reference paper will be coming first, so like that it will be added. So this is how the single click you can change the reference style form to another format. That's all about my session. I will stop presenting. If you have any queries, you can ask me.
Participants, if you have any queries, kindly unmute and you can ask. Otherwise, you can put it in the chat. So today is the last date, sir. So I think they're all in a mood to wind up. There is no questions. Thanks for a nice presentation, sir.
Okay, madam. Thank you. So, shall I leave the meeting,
yes,
madam?
Yes, sir.